Right, so I figured I react to ThePrimeagen's video about the AWS CEO saying that the end of programmers is near. And I have a much darker take on it than he has. I make some good points here, but of course, this is something that we've seen now a bunch. And if I move myself here into, you see in the sidebar, like it's over, or, people shouldn't even learn to develop anymore because it'll be a redundant skill, as the NVIDIA CEO said. And yeah, a lot of this is bullshit, but there are some real issues here that ThePrimeagen doesn't get into, and some of his takes are just a little bit questionable. But let's listen a bit to what he has to say.
This okay, here we go. Most developers could stop coding as soon as AI takes over. I'm not gonna lie to you, this sounds like actual copium, the same kind of copium that goes like this. Once fusion energy takes over, you know what I mean? This is the same. Oh dude, when fusion energy, when AI takes over, what's the other good ones? Oh, when those hydrogen engines.
Yeah, I mean that's not an argument. Just listing all the other things where the hype was too big. I mean, the hype about the internet itself was like off the chain, like with the .com bubble, but then eventually it did take over. Or social media, it came kind of out of left field and it has really taken over. And now a lot with streaming and media, etc. So revolutions happen, just because people predicted it a few times and it hasn't happened yet. I mean, to me, that is not an argument. Oh, it's all hype, just ignore it.
Finally landed, we can all have flying cars. Dude, hoverboard is just right around the corner. It's so close. It's so close, bro. Just one more deck is real. Okay.
Let's go and watch the original video. I'll just I don't want to play it here in full, so we'll jump around a little bit. But yeah.
Girl, I'm yapping. Okay, Initech was absolutely real, right? Initech was absolutely real. So I don't want to dog on Y2K. All right, here we go. In a leaked recording, Amazon Cloud Chief. Oh, really leaked, right? Oh yeah, definitely. This is one of those moments where.
Yeah, that's. Yeah, I do. With this, I agree. I mean, all these leaks and AI related companies talking about how AI is going to replace all developers in short order and it's super powerful, or even all the people talking about how super dangerous it is, who typically are connected with Google and OpenAI and all those companies. Yeah, that's a lot of marketing hype.
This leaked recording from a company that provides a coding assistant leaked that developers should now then has a leak as we have to develop other skills soon. As artificial intelligence takes over many coding tasks. Okay, I mean, if they're trying to ask us to touch grass or something, is that the skill set? Because I kid you not, I went to my kid's soccer tournament over this weekend and it was 95 degrees.
Now, to me, that's actually a pretty, I mean, he's saying it's not taking over all coding tasks, but many coding tasks, and a fellow developer, that a lot of coding tasks can be so rote and boring and cookie cutter that you go like, oh, there's got to be a better way of doing this, and maybe you even wrote code that writes code and stuff like that. And it's so easy to connect the dots that with AI, a lot of the very rote programming will go away. And actually, to flesh that out, I think a lot of this front-end tweaking. How many developers do just front-end tweaking of CSS and making interfaces interactive and making drop-downs or checkboxes interactive and have them do stuff? I think that'll be replaced, not quite how maybe people think it will be. I don't think that AI will be programming in React and upgrading NPM packages. I think it'll look very different. It'll be more towards, I mean, all our programming languages are very geared towards human thinking. But I can imagine a way to have servers, show interfaces to users, collect data, and process the data that is written in a way that is geared towards AI. So, but I don't want to get into all this already.
Degrees out, and I was out there from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. and I never want to touch grass again. Okay, I'm over grass. Okay, you know what? Forget it. Who won? Not me. Okay, because I was touching grass for hours upon hours, and hated every moment of it. Big company, we'll just call it Amazon, right? They invest billions upon billions of dollars into their AI training. Comparatively to having a staff. And then all these companies are just absolutely spending.
Yeah, so he explains now at this point how these companies invested so much money. And by the way, that's like a very interesting aspect that right now, as an end user, you can do a bunch of stuff with AI online, and you don't realize like how expensive that is to run on the server side. And I wonder when there will be a seismic shift where some of this will go away that we've come to enjoy so much. But right now, the VC money was still flowing, so companies just are giving away like even hundreds in compute power away for free just to get users and to get known. But yeah, he's talking here about how so much was invested that now Amazon has to basically now claim that this will replace developers when he always does these all or nothing arguments. Just nobody's talking about Amazon in 2 years replacing all their engineers with AI and laying everybody off. But just think of what it would do if even like the 20% of developers who do very rote work would be replaced, in the next year or two, which I think is very, very possible. And I've worked at many places. I've done lots of SQL Server stuff, data analysis, interfaces. And if I look at my career and if I look at past jobs and think about, okay, if we had ChatGPT back then, if we had large language models back then, would the job have been the same? No, it would have actually already replaced virtually all work I did back then. And see that as you may, but I think I think it'll sneak up on us devs much quicker than we think, and I think videos like this are maybe a bit I don't know. Let's talk about the nitty-gritty, of what could actually happen. Let's not talk in broad terms of, oh, we won't get laid off, no AI will ever work on a complex code base or whatever, but let's talk about how that could look like over the next 4 or 5 years, because 4 or 5 years go by very fast, and there are some people now who plan to have a career in the field who might need to know what it looks like 4 years from now.
Be able to reduce their development cost by a whole bunch. See that delta? Billions of dollars for developers. You think that they're going to just all of a sudden stop having that and try to show on their financial sheets that they're saving a couple billion a year? No, they're not going to do that. You know what they're going to do? Develop even more programs. It's going to go dunt, because they've committed to way more than they can chew, and they're going to be just trying to churn out as fast as possible programs. If the same shit's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
That's all you know that's.
I think it might actually be the other way. I think it might bump up a lot. And I think we might actually be in the middle of this, where suddenly there's so much opportunity for new programs or software with AI that suddenly a lot more developers are needed. And there might be a bump up where a lot of people get hired to implement these, but eventually AI will have better ways of creating interfaces. It'll have better ways of just defining what you want in the various industries and business topics, how of what you want out of data and then give it back. I mean, only very recently have large language models started returning stuff as JSON, or less in this, free-flowing way where very often you got responses that were very hard to parse and stuff. We are like at the very, very beginning of being able to automate stuff with these with AI. So, but I do think once that catches on, let's look at how many jobs it'll make redundant.
Anyways, if you go forward 24 months from now, or some amount of time, I can't exactly predict where it is.
Yeah, so he qualifies it there. 24 months is like too short, clearly. And I don't know if I already mentioned during this stream, but I tried to record this beforehand and rambled like way too much, so I'm trying to do it faster now. But yeah, like certain companies will move much slower, and then the government will move even slower, because very often there's not the incentive to be super efficient.
The chat. I want you to type 1 in the chat if this applies to you. Your company makes really fast and quick changes to their product and staff as new things come out. Go ahead, type 1. Yeah. I'm seeing
Yeah.
Can you imagine any company being like, all right, we're just gonna fire everybody, you can make a complete change? It's like 2 years. That's a day in company time.
Yeah. All that said, I mean, there are still companies that use like, I don't know, maybe even old-time ASP or Cold Fusion or something, or Visual Basic.NET, and for some reason or other they haven't changed, or maybe even .NET Framework might be a good example, the old kind. Yeah, so, but just because there are some companies that are that way, I mean, are they going to hire a bunch more with this? I mean, so basically, does this really apply to us? People who like to program with more, or who like to go with the times and who like modern development tools and stuff. We're not all going to go back and trying to get one of those old COBOL or .NET Framework, or I don't know, even React and CSS, how it's written now. I mean, if you've learned that, and there are way better ways to do that in 5 years, would you then want to go and write React and CSS in the way it was written 5 years earlier? I mean, I wouldn't. Just like if I see a code base in React that has like component, like these kind of class components or whatever, I wouldn't want to work on that. So I don't know, but it's certainly true. I mean, there will still be a lot of programming jobs where companies haven't quite caught on to AI, but eventually the pressure will be too much. If you have a lot of companies and maybe even some governments, local governments, city governments, state governments that adopt AI and save a lot, then especially given with that we might go now into a period where there's a lot of deleveraging and money will not flow as easily as it has the last 20 years. They'll be forced to adapt and lower their budgets. So
that's a coffee break in company time. It's crazy. Senior engineer. 98% of the work has nothing to do with writing any code. At some point, but that's not, I mean, it depends on the stage of the product, right? There's different stages of different products. Some actual product, which is 18 months of grinding and making something actually work. And so this could take years. Absolutely. This takes experience. This takes all sorts of stuff, right? This is just, I just hate these takes where it's just like, coding is useless or coding is the only thing. No, there's a little bit of both, but there's no one place for it. And then not only that, midway through, it takes even more experience to know when you want to keep the ship going this direction or change directions, which this is a potential death sign. That's very, very difficult. The moment you shift, I did this with my startup. I kind of wish we didn't have shifted. I actually think we could have done a lot better. It makes it, that was me not having experience, right? I had to fail to understand the importance of sticking something out long enough to know if it's actually a failure. Basically, it's over for juniors. I don't think it's over for juniors. Can you please add a new streaming source directly to my bedroom projector, please? And thanks. Also, hi, mother.
All right, I have to go a little bit faster here, but junior developers will, I think, they will have a really hard time, and they will be having, an even harder time. And I think eventually that'll help the pendulum swing back for people like me who have a lot of experience, because there will not be as much competition going up.
Fuck that friendly manual. That's what we're talking about. Screw that friendly manual. I hate it. All my homies hate the manual.
It's actually really good for you, so read the friendly manual. And Charles Babbage would invite dinner guests over, and he would do this little trick where he'd start off and he'd pull a lever and it'd produce a 0.
Wait, I kind of missed that, but that's an opportunity to ask Devin. Hey, Devin, what was the difference machine?
Designed by Charles Babbage in the 19th century, the difference engine was an early mechanical calculator intended to compute and print mathematical tables.
Oh, okay. So we have in a few seconds here what Primeagen rambled on quite a lot about.
Also, if you don't know, I did see an article saying that quantum magic, right? Quantum magic could help.
All right, so I guess the rest of the video is not really about any of the real issues of how AI could replace programmers. But that, just reassures his viewers that it's all hype and they won't have to worry about their job. So, it'll be interesting to look back. I mean, often I tend to be too pessimistic. Like my whole life, it's sad. I envy people who always have like this sunny attitude. I'm sort of thinking that things might be much worse than a lot of people think. Maybe I'm wrong. So it'll be interesting to look at this video in, let's say, 3 years. Just so much stuff. I need more streams about very, very specifically what AI will do within the next 6, 12, 18 months. And less streams of people who either say that the AI overlords will take over and kill us all, or people who say, oh, AI is just a big nothing burger and it's overhyped. And can I ever stop rambling? I'm wrapping up now. All right. Bye.